Alright, hello class.
Welcome back, Doctor.
Hello, Doctor.
Thank you. Welcome back also to you. Writing essays. Alright, let's explore this genre, important genre for academic life and the workplace later on. Exploring the essay. Let's take a look first at the overview of the main points of our discussion. The essay, basic structure of essay, 3 parts of essay and essay, the introduction. And when we look at the introduction, we're going to look at the funnel type of introduction, the most common funnel introduction. Here we look at the hook, and we're going to look at some types of hooks, hook strategies. In other words, techniques to introduce the topic. And then the thesis statement towards the end of your introduction or introductory paragraph. And then we're going to move on to part 2, the body, the development, and finally the conclusion. So we're going to see some ways to write the conclusion, or what you should write in the conclusion, or a combination of things to be mentioned in the conclusion. The title, following the organization, following the presentation of the items in the chapter, the title comes here. Basic, then we're going to look at some templates for outline templates, basic essay outline templates, using the writing process to craft an essay, an assignment. We're going to see quickly types of essays, and then revising and editing checklists. Revising checklist for essays, and editing also checklist. Alright, so this is the overview. These are the topics for our discussion. Let's start. The essay, a group of paragraphs that explain an idea. A simple, quick, short definition. The essay is a group of paragraphs that explain an idea. And so the basic blocks, or the basic building blocks of an essay are paragraphs. With the exception of the first paragraph, the introductory paragraph, the rest of the essay is almost the same like any standalone paragraph. And so we're going to spend some time on the introduction, because the introduction or the introductory paragraph is some kind of unique. It is not exactly like the paragraphs we have learned previously, but the rest of it is the same. And so mastering paragraph writing will enable you, or should be the beginning to master essay writing, with the exception, as I said, of the introductory paragraph, which is different, and we're going to highlight this difference in our presentation. So learning to write an essay builds on many of the skills you have already mastered in learning to write a paragraph. Once you know how to write a paragraph, it is not much harder really to write an essay. An essay is just longer, and the introductory paragraph is slightly different. So basically, an essay is a group of paragraphs about a specific subject. A group of paragraphs that explain an idea. Like a paragraph, an essay makes and supports one main point. Remember at the beginning of the semester we said understanding, point and support. So whether it's a paragraph or an essay, it's still in either case you have a point, a message you want to communicate, and you need to support that message with enough details to make up your case, to make up your argument. But in the essay, the idea is more complex. Just like a complex sentence, you have more than one idea. In a simple sentence, you have one idea. In a complex or a compound complex sentence, you have more ideas. However, the subject of an essay is too complex to be developed in a few sentences. The paragraph. Remember that the paragraph can be as short as 4 sentences. A topic sentence and 3 supporting sentences, or 2 supporting sentences and 1 concluding sentence. So when you have more ideas, you need more space, you need a different genre that can help you accommodate these ideas in a way recognized or understood by speakers of English. So several paragraphs are needed to fully support the main point of an essay. You have one main point, but this main point has to it a number of sub-points or subtopics. It is one point, but it has under it a number of sub-points or topics. Each one of these sub-points or subtopics will require a paragraph on its own that is related and linked to this main point. The thesis statement, the last sentence in the introductory paragraph. A typical essay has 5 paragraphs, but of course many other types of essays are longer or shorter depending on their purpose. In this book, you will learn the basic formula for a 5-paragraph essay. So typically, the typical essay is 5 paragraphs. 1 introduction, 1 concluding paragraph, and 3 paragraphs, typically each paragraph for 1 subtopic mentioned in the thesis statement that states the main idea and the focuses or the controlling ideas. So the thesis is the main subject. The thesis states the main subject, just like a topic sentence states the main subject, the main idea, and the topic sentence also states the controlling idea, but usually idea. It can be more than one in a paragraph, but it's advisable if you have more ideas to write than an essay. So we have the thesis. We're going to talk about it in some detail. The thesis statement, the last sentence in the introductory paragraph, states the topic or the subject: sports, education, history, OPSI, cutting hair, Dr. Aladdin, and the controlling ideas. So a typical 5-paragraph essay has 3 ideas or subtopics related to the main idea sentence. So each of these subtopics will be dealt with in a separate paragraph. Now, if you have more or less, then your paragraph will be longer or shorter. But typically, the number 3 seems to have some kind of magic. We have in a sentence usually 3 adjectives, 3 phrases, 3 clauses, 3 paragraphs in an essay. So 3. He is a strong, he is a handsome, strong, lean man. So 3 adjectives. She is a beautiful, lovely Malaysian lady. So 3 adjectives. The rule of 3. The rule of 3. Okay, this is the basic structure of the essay, as you can see. Basic structure of essay, where you have the introduction, first paragraph, and then the body, the development. You can call it body or development, where you have your set of supporting paragraphs. Could be 3 typically, could be more or less, and then your concluding paragraph. So this is the basic structure of the essay. The introduction gives background information or an overview of the subject and grabs the reader's attention, and ends with the thesis statement, the most important sentence in the whole essay. And the body paragraphs, just every paragraph is written just like a normal paragraph. You have a topic sentence that repeats the topic and states the focus, the subtopic, the subtopic, or the point of development, and then supporting sentences and developing sentences, just like a normal paragraph. And so is paragraph 2 and paragraph 3. A topic sentence that states the topic and the subtopic, the topic, the main idea, and am I losing connection? All right, welcome back. And the conclusion makes final comments about the subject, restates the main points, your thesis, and leaves the reader with something to think about. So this is in general. Now we want to get into these parts one by one with a more detailed picture of the introduction, because as I said, the body is not, there is nothing new to it. The 3 parts of an essay: introduction, the body, and the conclusion. Remember, the paragraph also has 3 parts: the topic sentence, the supporting sentences and the developing sentences, and the concluding sentence. So the paragraph has 3 parts, and so has the essay. And so is the essay. The introduction. This is the first paragraph of your essay. It should capture the reader's attention and make them want to read the rest of the essay. And so you have to take really extra care to formulate these introductory sentences. Will help you out with this. The introduction should start with some general statements about your subject and lead up to a specific statement, and that is your thesis, a specific statement of your main idea. The format of an introductory paragraph is different from the format of most other kinds of paragraphs, as we have said. In introductory paragraphs, the main idea is usually stated in the last sentence, unlike a typical paragraph where the topic sentence, the main idea sentence, is usually the first sentence in a paragraph, a normal paragraph. But in the introductory paragraph for an essay, the most important sentence, the main idea sentence, is usually the last sentence. And this sentence is called the thesis statement.
Doctor,
Yes?
are you presenting the slides? Because we can't see the slides.
Why didn't you remind me at the beginning?
I wanted to, but yeah, wanted to.
I have forgotten. You should have reminded me. Okay, can you see the slides now?
Yes, doctor.
Yes.
Alamak. When two modalities, when two senses are involved, you learn better. Hearing and seeing. I may forget sometimes, please remind me. I don't have to check every time whether you can hear or can see. If you do not see my presentation or cannot hear my voice, ask me, remind me in a way or another. I don't know, let me, should I go back quickly? So this is the overview of the our discussion. We've said that the essay is a group of paragraphs that explain an idea. A group of paragraphs explain an idea. And we've said that once you know how to write paragraphs, it is not difficult to write essays. The essay is just more complex because it contains more subtopics or more ideas. I've also said that the typical essay is 5 paragraphs, but you can write more, you can write less. But at this stage, it's preferable that you stick to the 5 paragraph formula. This is the basic structure of the essay. As we have said, you have the intro and then the supporting paragraphs, typically 3, can be more, can be less, and then the concluding paragraph. So we're going to talk about these parts one by one, but remember then the 3 parts of the essay are the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. These are distinct parts, but related. We've said that the introduction is unique. The introductory or the format of an introductory paragraph is different from the format of most other kinds of paragraphs. That's why we're going to spend some more time on the introduction and see why it is different from normal paragraphs. And so we're not going to spend time on the supporting paragraphs because they are like normal paragraphs. A topic sentence, supporting sentences, developing sentences, and then a concluding sentence. Nothing difficult. Alright, this is what they call the funnel introduction. I've already shown you the funnel at the beginning of the class. This is how a funnel looks like. Since I am at home, I can't show it to you. If I were in my office, I wouldn't, have been able to show you a funnel. So it looks wide at the top and narrower towards the bottom. Very narrow at the bottom. So this is your thesis here at the bottom. And so what does this mean? You begin with general statements and then your most specific statement towards the bottom. But before your general statements, or part of your general statements, should be the hook. The hook. Now, what is the hook? This is a story. This is a story on its own. We're going to explore the hook now and the types of hooks. And why is the hook very important? So I want you now to imagine the structure of the introduction. In the introduction, you have three things. The introductory paragraph to an essay. You have first the hook, and then you have the transition, which is general statements or connecting statements, and then your thesis towards the bottom of your funnel introduction. The hook followed by some general statements or connecting statements, and then the thesis. So the general statements is the transition between the hook and the thesis. They make the transition from the hook to the thesis. So how is the hook and the thesis statement linked? They are linked by some general statements or connecting statements, forming the transition between the hook and the thesis. So three elements: the hook, general statements to make a transition from the hook to the third part, and that is your thesis towards the bottom of your introductory paragraphs. Now let's talk about each of these three elements of the introductory paragraph one by one, beginning with the hook. Do you know what a hook is? Apart from writing and thesis writing, a hook. An idea what a hook is? Can you see this picture image here? What is this image?
A fishing rod.
A fishing rod or a fishing pole. Thank you. Now, towards the end of the fishing rod, there is what we call a hook. A hook, like a piece of metal curved in a particular way and pointed at the beginning, or it is meant to catch fish. It is meant to to catch fish, and so a hook is found on the end of a fishing pole or rod and is used to catch fish. In writing, a hook is a sentence or sentences, can be one sentence, can be a number of sentences, that catch the reader's attention at the beginning of the essay. That catch the reader's attention at the end of the essay. And so the job or the function of the hook is just like the function of the hook at the end of the fishing rod. It is meant to catch fish. Similarly, like a bait, B-A-I-T. Similarly, in your writing, the hook is meant to engage the reader. The hook is meant to arouse the interest of the reader. The hook is meant to catch the reader. The hook is meant to hook the reader. To hook the reader and make him want to read or her want to read your essay. So your first sentence or sentences should be the hook. Why should the reader read your essay? Okay, I am a teacher. I receive 70 or even 150 essays. Why would I focus on your essay more than others? Why would I take a quick glance at others but read your essay from beginning to end? Why would I take a cursory look at one essay and then put it aside, discard it, and another and read it sentence by sentence? Apart from me, in real life, you want to write an essay, post it on your blog, on the internet, here and there. Are you the only writer? There are millions of people posting essays and other types of writing. So why would certain people read your essay? So it is important then to have a good hook at the beginning to help the reader decide whether your essay is worthy of reading or not worthy of reading. Good writers use hooks to get the reader hooked in the first paragraph of the essay. And if they are hooked, then they will carry on reading the rest of your essay. If they are not hooked, they will leave it. Look for other, lots of material. Information explosion nowadays. The hook gives the reader a reason then to keep reading the essay. A reason to keep reading the essay. Hooks can be questions. Now that we know what a hook is, a sentence or a group of sentences at the beginning of the first paragraph to an essay, the introduction, the first element. Now let's look at the types of hooks. The rest of the class, keep your cameras on, please. I appreciate those who keep their cameras on. Hooks can be questions, quotes, descriptions, or other interesting pieces of information that attract the reader. These are more than 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are 7 hook strategies or techniques to introduce the topic. So now we're going to briefly look at 7 types of hooks. You can use any at the beginning of your essay to hook the reader, to engage the reader, to catch the reader's attention, to give him a good reason why to carry on reading. We have the anecdote or story hook, one strategy to start your essay with an anecdote, because all of us love stories. Stories can hook the young and the old. We tend to be entertained by stories and storytelling, whether we are old or young. Paint a sensory rich picture, and I'm using the word paint here deliberately, consciously. Paint. Use rich, vivid imagery. It's as though the reader is not reading, is looking at a picture. So with words, you are painting a picture. This can be a hook. Share a fact or statistic, a shocking fact, surprising fact. The more shocking, the more you're likely to hook the reader. A shocking fact. We're going to see some examples of these in a short while. In the second or next slide. Use a quotation. Quotation from someone famous, an authority. A quotation can attract the reader's attention. If you're writing an essay, for example, and at the beginning of your essay you're quoting, let's say, Dr. Mahathir. So when you quote an authority, someone famous or an expert in a field, this can be a good way to engage the reader. You can ask an interesting question, you can make a contradiction, and you can simply state why the topic is important. So these are 7 hooky strategies or ways or techniques to introduce the topic. Now we're going to look at examples of these 7 ways. Exemplify them so that they become concrete to you. Okay. The hook. A sentence that hooks the reader's attention and makes them want to read the essay. Let's look at one type of hook, and that is the anecdote. The anecdote, we've said, is simply a story that has a point. Let's read the example. I was angry, or maybe we can have Zach to read the example of an anecdote. Begin your essay with a story. Stories are likely to catch the reader's attention. They want to because they want to know the rest. You know, I told my kids a story 3 years ago when I was in Palestine, and from time to time they asked me to complete, and I couldn't finish it because I was just I was improvising, just off the cuff. So from time to time they asked me to complete that story about the fisherman who caught a fish, the poor fisherman who caught a fish and found a jewel in it, and then took it to the market, and on the way back when he found the jewel and took it back, thieves stopped him, and a long complicated story, but it was unfinished. So sometimes they remember it and ask me to, of course it's not that I have the story in my mind, I was improvising at the time. So I have to be in the mood and try to, spin more stuff and, lengthen the story to make it educational, so that they can benefit from the ideas, the language, and whatever morals I want to inject in the story. Read, Zach, the example of an anecdote.
Alright. I was angry. I was confused. Okay, almost there. Only a few more strokes. Upon finishing my painting, I reflected on my journey to the final round of the art show. As we took our first couple steps off the plane, the hot and humid air swarmed around us.
Wow, what a beginning. What a beginning to start an essay with. Can you look at it again? Sharmila, can you read it again?
Okay. I was angry. I was confused. Okay, almost there. Only a few more strokes. Upon finishing my painting, I reflected on my journey to the final round of the art show. As we took our first couple steps off the plane, the hot and humid air swirled around us.
Aren't you hooked to know more about this?
Yes.
I would like to read that.
Very, very. I want to know more.
Alright, in the next class I can show you the rest of the essay. So, this is an example of a hook, a way to engage the reader, capture the attention of the reader, to use a story. Be smart. Another type, as I said, is to paint a sensory, vivid, rich picture. Can we have maybe Kong this time to read the second example? I mean the example for a picture.
Langkawi Island is located in the state of Kedah, Malaysia. It is an archipelago made of 99 islands on the west coast of Peninsula Malaysia. It is surrounded by turquoise sea, while the main island is a mixture of paddy fields and jungle clay fields. Nature lovers can enjoy island hopping cruises, jungle trekking, and snorkeling activities.
So the more you provide imagery, it's like the reader is looking at a picture. If you want to use the sensory rich picture hook, the more you're likely to hook the reader. Like limn, paint with the words and image. The reader will feel, as I said, like he or she is seeing something rather than reading something. Picture in his mind. What words are evoke in his mind images. Surprising fact or statistic. Sharmila, read the example.
According to a recent report by the government, 8 out of 10 Malaysian teen girls have teen pregnancy.
My God, what? How shocking! Again, what's the statistic? 8 out of 10
8 out of
are
10.
are teen pregnant.
8 out of 10.
If I wanted to get married, it would be difficult to find a virgin then. If I wanted to look for a virgin, if 8 out of 10 are no longer virgin, it's not easy for me then to find these 2%. If 8 out of 10 become deflowered, what is the chat column? You know what deflower is? This is a new word for you. If 8 in every 10 out of every 10 are deflowered. I know that nowadays maybe you can use, you know, surgery or certain techniques to patch it up, but so this is obviously a shocking fact. So if I were reading an essay like this that begins with this shocking statistic, wow, exciting, sexy, I would like to know some more, right? Hey, this is a sentence I wrote, I made up out of my mind. So this is not a real government report. So this is not a real statistic. I don't know about the real statistic, whether more or less. But I just, while I was thinking of a shocking statistical fact, I made this up. But the point is that as a reader, it catches your attention. Okay. Another type of a hook is to use a quotation, a wise quote. For example, reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body, according to Joseph Addison. Reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body. Interesting. It's like saying that reading, the importance of reading to the mind is like the importance of exercise to the body. So if you want to take care of your mind and keep it healthy and young and strong, read. A quotation can be a good way to begin an essay. Notice a quotation, according to Joseph Addison. Okay, more types of hooks. Interesting question. Unless the question is interesting, do not ask questions, because the question can be also off-putting. I mean, you've used it to engage the reader, but it might have the opposite effect. So unless it is, you know, interesting, it might have the opposite effect. Because the reader might say, well, I know the answer, so I don't want to read. Does exercise only improve health if it is difficult? Is the reader hooked? Thinking? Does exercise only improve health if it is difficult? If I were reading this, I would think about it for a while. Okay, this thinking means that you have been caught and you want to read further. And you want to read further. Contradiction. People think strenuous, difficult. People think strenuous exercise is better for them than easy exercise. But almost no one does a strenuous routine twice. People think strenuous exercise is better for them than easy exercise, but almost no one does a strenuous routine twice. There is a contradiction here. A contradiction. So what's the point of the author? So you might be intrigued. You might be intrigued to know. Intrigue. The last type of hook is simply trying to state the importance or why the topic is important. Why the topic is important. For example, people need exercise to stay healthy. People need exercise to stay healthy. If you want to be smart, slim, and sexy, take a nap. Doesn't sound like you want to read more. If you want to be smart, slim, and sexy, take a nap. So you want to read more to know about this. So that's you've stated the importance of your topic, why your topic is important. Who doesn't want to be sexy, slim, and smart? Everyone. Even Jaden wants to be sexy. Am I right, Jaden? So I have given you the secret. Read the rest of my essay later. Vegetables have vitamins that cannot be found in other foods. Vegetables have vitamins that cannot be found in other foods. Have I managed to catch your attention? You want to read more? People need exercise to stay healthy. We already mentioned this. Eggs are really an exceptional superfood. Eggs are really an exceptional superfood. Ooh, let me read. How? Why? What do they do? So make your hook sexy. Make it interesting. Alright. Having talked about the hook, now let's move on to the thesis. But remember, before the thesis, there are the transition, the connecting statements or general statements. So after your hook, you need to have some general statements related to the hook, related to the topic that you introduced via a hook, and excuse me. And then towards the end of your introduction, to have your thesis. Let's talk about the thesis statement. To begin with, the thesis statement is the most important sentence in your entire essay, because it states the subject and the points of development, the subject and the subtopics, the subject and the focuses, the subject and the angles of your focus. As we said when we talked about the topic sentence, every subject can be discussed from many different angles. If you want to talk about sports, what do you want to talk about sports? Kinds of sports, history of sports, facilities used in sports. You want to talk about OPSI, faculties in OPSI, history of OPSI, professors in OPSI, foreigners in OPSI. So there are many focuses for a subject. You know that the key sentence in a paragraph is called a topic sentence. In an essay, a similar key sentence is called the thesis statement, or just simply the thesis. The thesis statement gives the reader a clear idea of what the essay will discuss. Thesis statement is usually the last sentence in the introduction. Remember the funnel introduction here? The funnel, this is your thesis. You move from the hook to the thesis. In between you have your transitional statements that make the linkage between the two clear. In the introduction, after you have piqued, intrigued your reader's interest, the hook, and presented some general background information, the general statements, the transition, you need now to narrow your focus. This is done in the thesis statement. I think we're very clear now about the elements or the structure of the introduction, the funnel introduction. A thesis statement is similar to a topic sentence, just as a topic sentence controls the information for a paragraph. A thesis controls the information for the entire or for an entire essay. The thesis statement is a sentence that tells the reader what the essay will be about and what points you will make in the essay. Again, a thesis statement will tell the reader what the essay will be about. That's your subject. Sports, medicine, vegetables, fruits, iPhones, technology. And then the points and what points you will make in the essay. These are your focuses, usually 3. Each one will be developed in a separate paragraph. That's why we talk about 5-paragraph essay. Your thesis statement should state the subject then of the essay and list the main supporting points, the subtopics, the points of development from your outline. So in the pre-writing stage, as you think in the brainstorm ideas using one of the techniques for generating ideas, so you should write your thesis and the 3 subtopics. Each one will constitute a topic sentence on its own and a paragraph on its own downward. So this will be part of your outline. Pre-writing. Pre-writing, 2 things: generating ideas and then making a rough outline, a simple outline of your ideas. This document you will use when you begin drafting, your first draft. So remember that, of course, the main supporting points should be listed in the order that you will present them in the essay. So in the thesis, you will have them point number 1, 2, 3. So in the body, they should be mentioned in the same order, 1, 2, 3. This is obvious. One thing I would like to add, not mentioned in the book about the thesis, is that a thesis can be stated and can be implied. So in this sense, there are 2 types. The most common is the stated. Stated means you clearly state the subtopics. The implied, you do not mention the subtopics, but they are implied. Let's exemplify this. Go to the essay I asked you to read in the book on page 81 and look at the thesis statement, the last sentence in the introductory paragraph. Jennifer, can you read it?
The first paragraph is it?
Yeah, read the thesis statement.
3 of the most well-known inventions or discoveries that happened by accident are popsicles, microwave ovens, and penicillin.
Alright, so this type of thesis statement is what I call the stated type. Stated thesis statement. Stated means that the subtopics are clearly stated. The subtopics are, what's a topic? First of all, what is a topic? A topic is accidental inventions or discoveries. The subtopics are popsicles, microwave ovens, and penicillin as examples of accidental inventions to be discussed in the subsequent paragraphs. So the subtopics are clearly stated. Now, if I want to turn this stated thesis statement into an implied thesis statement, it will sound or seem like this, something like this. For example, let me look at it. For example, there are three well-known inventions. There are three well-known accidental inventions. Sorry, there are three well-known discoveries or inventions that are the result of accidental inventions, something like that. Again, let me try to rephrase it. This essay discusses three types or three examples of accidental discoveries. Full stop. Now, these are three discoveries, the subtopics are implied, meaning I know that there are three discoveries or accidental inventions the writer is going to talk about, but I don't know what they are, not before I look at the topic sentence of each subsequent paragraph. And so this type of thesis is implied. It is implied that there are three types or examples, but you do not know them yet. So just to make you aware that there are two types then of theses in this sense, stated and implied. The thesis statement may indicate the pattern of organization. Another function of the thesis is that it may also organize or indicate the type or the method of organization the writer is using. Remember methods of organization, patterns of organization, the different ways writers present their information, using, for example, the descriptive pattern, the narrative pattern, the problem solution pattern, the advantages, disadvantages pattern, the chronological pattern, the topical pattern. Reading skills last semester, we talked about these patterns, ways of organizing information, compare contrast pattern. So the thesis usually indicates also the type of organization, whether the author is using or going to use the compare contrast method, or advantages, disadvantages, or problem solution, or a process essay. We're going to talk about the process essay next semester, next week, as the first type of essays. Process. So this sentence can indicate or may indicate or signal the method of organization. I mean, if you, for example, look at for example, can you take a look at page 109? 109. Read the thesis statement. 109. Read the thesis statement for this essay. That is, read the last sentence in the first paragraph. Zach, can you read it?
It doesn't take a genius to learn most of the tricks I perform, but if you follow these steps, you'll look like one to the people you trick.
So this is obviously a process essay. A process essay. The writer is going to talk about steps involved in, what is the topic? To learn the most of the tricks I perform. So it's going to talk to us about how something is being done by following a number of steps. That's a process essay. We're going to talk about process essay next week, as I said. Why do I keep saying semester? Next week. But my point is that the thesis statement might indicate then the pattern of organization, how the information will be presented. Okay? So remember this one reading and remember this one writing. Alright, so that's all about the introduction. Remember the hook, some general statements, and then your thesis, which can be stated or implied. It has to state the topic and the subtopics or the points of development, whether stated or implied, but usually stated. The body, as I said, we do not have much to say about the body because the paragraphs in the body are similar to any paragraphs, standalone paragraphs. So, but quickly, the body, in the body you have your supporting paragraphs, you have your points of development, the points of development you want to develop, your subtopics, your argument. The body of an essay is the longest part of an essay, obviously. It consists of several supporting paragraphs. Zach, can you read? I like the quality of your voice.
Okay, the body of an essay is the longest part of an essay. It consists of several supporting paragraphs or points of development or subtopics that support and develop the thesis.
That support and develop. Remember, supporting sentences and developing sentences, just like any paragraph. If you need developing sentences, then you, like the major and minor classification we did last semester in the reading class. We said major and minor. The same idea, whether you call them major details and then minor details supporting further the major details, or supporting sentences assess, and developing sentences developing sentences. Support and develop. Okay?
Each supporting paragraph develops one point about the subject.
Carry on.
Each paragraph begins with a topic sentence that is supported with specific details, facts, and examples, supporting and developing sentences. Remember, each main idea that you wrote down in your outline will become one of the supporting paragraphs. For example, if you had 3 supporting ideas, you will have 3 supporting paragraphs.
The conclusion, as your classmates said in the presentation, the conclusion is obviously the final paragraph of your essay. It is the last thing your readers will see, so you want to make it memorable. Remember that first places and last places are important because the first place forms your first impression as a reader, and the last place forms your last impression. So you want to take care of these 2 places, the beginning of your essay and the final part of your essay, because it's what the reader is going to be left out with. So the purpose of writing this last paragraph is to summarize, of course without using the same words, using synonyms, paraphrasing the main points you have made in the essay. So the subtopics in each paragraph, you need to in other words, you need to rephrase the thesis statement. Instead of copying it and pasting it, The same ideas have to be rephrased. For example, excuse me, let's look at page 81. The thesis in our example, accidental inventions. Three of the most well-known inventions or discoveries that happened by accident are popsicles, microwave ovens, and penicillin. Let's say now you have come to the concluding paragraph. Let's say you want to restate this sentence. So you might say popsicles, microwave ovens, and penicillins are the most let's say famous three accidental inventions in human history. So the same idea, but in different words and syntax. Let me, by the way, look at the one used by the writer. Can you read it, Sharmila? The one used on page 82. Read the last sentence.
They all happened by accident.
Go back to the one before.
Which one is it, Doctor? Page 82?
Yeah, just go back one more sentence.
Oh, popsicles, microwave oven, and penicillin are just three of the many discoveries that were not planned.
So this is actually the thesis statement. It's a synonym. So you should restate the thesis because that's your argument. That's your point. That's your conclusion. And so you want to make sure that you copy it, but not copy paste. You restate the idea because this is your message. Your thesis statement is your conclusion. It's your message. So you repeat it at the end, but in different words, to remind the reader of your argument. You have a point. Remember that when we write, we have a point. We do not write just because we know how to write. Writers write because they have a message to communicate. They want to inform or persuade or entertain. They have a purpose. Whether they want to inform, tell you more facts, information about something, or persuade you to change your attitude about something, or simply entertain you. So they have a message to communicate, and this message then has to be reiterated or repeated at the end to make sure that the reader remembers, understands, and remembers your point. The concluding paragraph should leave the reader agreeing, disagreeing, or at least thinking about your thesis. So remember to restate your thesis and to leave your reader with something to think about. You may make a prediction, an observation, a recommendation, a suggestion, a question. So that after reading, the reader might just do like that for a while. So as we have said, you need to use actually a restatement of the ideas all the time, a combination. So this is not just a technique, it's something that you have to do to restate the main points, or as I said, to restate the thesis in different words. Restate the thesis in different words. That's why we said re again, the prefix. You could, as I said, end with a question, or suggest a solution, or a recommendation, or a prediction, or anything that you think will still make the reader think for a while, even after finishing reading. Of course, you should use one of the following discourse markers of cohesion to introduce or signal your conclusion. So the concluding paragraph must be introduced by a discourse marker, like in conclusion, in brief, in summary, in short. So use one of these concluding cohesive devices to conclude, to summarize, therefore, etc., etc. And make sure that you use also cohesive devices, discourse markers, also within your paragraphs and sentences to create coherence, cohesiveness, cohesion, and coherence, to make your essay, piece of writing, cohesive and coherent. Unity, logic. The title, when you finish writing your essay, your first draft, now you have your essay, this is the time to think about the title. And so, we do not usually think about the title at the beginning. You may have a working title, fine. But finalizing a title should be, or easier, after we have produced a first draft and read the draft a couple of times. Now it will be the right time to try to encapsulate your entire essay into a word or a phrase. The entire essay. So it's more productive to think of a title after you have produced your first draft, not before. All essays have a title. A good title for an essay has two functions, of course, to suggest the subject of the essay: sports, medicine, education, tea, sex, drugs, women, marriage, pregnancy, divorce, glasses, Indians, Arabs, chocoholics, shopaholics, sexy people, whatever. You need to have a subject, and then the other function is to make sure that it will be, good enough to engage the reader, or not to engage. That's not right. To spark, to initiate, to intrigue or arouse the reader's interest, because it's the first thing he's gonna or she's gonna see. If the title is not interesting, I might not even look at your introductory paragraph. So it has to be also done, worded carefully. Although it is not always necessary to write a title for a paragraph, it is important to write a title, of course, for an essay. Okay, that's all about the title. These are basic essay outlines. So this is in the pre-writing stage. As you think about the ideas, generate ideas, and make your ideas, you can use one of these templates to help you with your outline. Name, date, working outline. You have your topic here, your thesis, and then your subtopics or points of development. So subtopic number 1, subtopic number 2, subtopic number 3, or 4 or 5, depending on how many subtopics or points of development you have. So this is one way for the outline. Another outline, you can use this outline. Introduction, you can write your hook, and then thesis statement. And then for each body paragraph, topic sentence, at least topic sentence, and then the conclusion, your restatement sentence. Another template, you can use this template. The introduction, introduce, introductory statement, that's your hook, the thesis, and then the body, first supporting idea, topic sentence, second supporting idea, topic sentence, and then so these are templates. The one you like, you can use for. So the outline is a rough plan of the main points, the hook, the thesis, the topic sentence of each paragraph, and maybe the restatement sentence for the concluding paragraph. Having got this outline, you begin drafting. Types of essays. There are many types of essays or ways to organize information. So we have descriptive essays, narrative essays, cause and effect essays, compare, contrast, process, expository, persuasive or argumentative, narrative, argumentative, persuasive, expository, compare, contrast essay, application essay, how to apply to a university or a job, or reflection essay, exploratory essay, case study essay, research essay, literature essay. So these are types of essays. We're going to look at how many types of essays. Let's look at the next unit, part 2, types of essays, part 2. Part 2, which page? Part 2 begins at page 101. Types of essays. On the next page, no, not the next page, 101, you have a process, division and classification, causes and effects, comparison and contrast, problem solution. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5, and we're going to add one more in week 14, and that is the argumentative or persuasive essay. Exactly, I have written this, Sharmila, I have done the same. I have written towards the bottom of this table in the book, persuasive or argumentative essay. If you look at the course outline, you will find it, by the way, in week 14. Persuasive essay or argumentative essay, how to make an argument, to argue for or against something, as in the critical reading, when someone needs to critically analyze your argument. So we're going to look at 6 types of essays beginning from next week, which means that beginning from next week we're going to have 6 weeks. Beginning from next week, I suppose, we're going to have 6 weeks. So each week will be devoted to one type of essay. Am I right? Yeah, this is week 8. So next week, which is tomorrow, so 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, yeah, 6 weeks. So each week will be for one type of essay. Okay, assignment. Write a 5-paragraph essay about the pressures of being a student. Students sometimes feel that they are really fucked up. Pressures, lots of assignments. He gives us assignments as though he thinks the only professor we have. Very inconsiderate, lots of things. Some of you even have to work. So this is an opportunity for you to voice out your concerns, your pain, so write an essay about the pressures of being a student. Remember to determine your purpose and audience, whether your essay is meant to persuade or entertain or inform. So you should be aware of your purpose. You know the 5 elements of good writing, and your audience, and which person you're going to use. You're writing to be in the first person, I, or second person, you, or third person, he, she, it. Academic writing, scientific writing, usually makes use of the third person. Go through the writing process, pre-writing, writing or drafting, and then revising and editing. Write a simple outline of the ideas you generated from pre-writing. ensure clarity, unity, and coherence, in addition to purpose and audience, the 5 elements of good writing. Revise and edit. Revise and edit. Remember, when you revise, to look at the arms and the cups, as we said in the last class when we talked about revising and editing. So when you revise, check your arms, see if you want to add ideas, see if you want to remove ideas, see if you want to move ideas around or words, and see if you want to substitute certain words or ideas. You want to take them out and replace them with better ones. So this is for revision, revising, arms. Having revised your essay by adding, removing, moving, substituting, you move to editing. That is, you move to cups. Cups, you look at the capitalization, make sure that each word is capitalized at the beginning of each sentence. Proper nouns, names, cities, New York, Malaysia. So the things that need to be capitalized, check capitalization. And then usage, make sure that you match your nouns and verbs correctly. Grammatical systems that we looked at, about 80 grammatical systems, you make sure that they are, in terms of usage, grammatical usage, correct. You check sentence by sentence. And then you look at the punctuation, also part of your editing, and spelling. So these are the cups, okay? Arms and cups. These are neat acronyms to help you remember what to look for when you revise and edit, okay? This is after you do that, you have 2 checklists. This checklist is for revising, so you go through it. Does the title of the essay give readers a good idea of what the essay is about? Does the introduction create interest in the topic for readers? So yes or no, and you fix what is not. And then you move to editing after revising. Remember that these are 2 processes, different but interrelated. Revising is a macro process. You look at the arms. Revising is a micro process, smaller. You look at each sentence. So there are different things to look for when editing. Is the first sentence of each paragraph indented? Does your subjects and verbs agree? Do you dangle your modifiers? Do you split your infinitives? You check that. Whether if your infinitives are split or not, if your modifiers are dangled in the public, everyone can see or not. This is you check as you revise. Peer revision. After you finish, you should, or you may want to, as a practice, send your essay to a classmate with the revision worksheet on page, you can type it on page 98, peer revision worksheet. Send it to a peer, a classmate, to help you revise and to provide some feedback from which you may benefit, external insight. It's advisable that when you write your essay, that you look back at it a day later or 2 days later. And better also if you give it to someone else for external insight, external, outside. You are too involved with the work. Sometimes you don't notice mistakes not because they are difficult to notice, but because you are involved with the work. If you get back to it in a week later or give it to someone else, they can easily spot these problems. Okay, that's it. Lama, what a presentation. Okay, before we end the class, I would like to watch a video or 2 with you about some of the key issues we have discussed. But I have already highlighted all the important stuff about how to write an essay. Theoretically, now you have a lot. You need to put this into practice. Remember to write an essay about the pressures of being a student. Follow the writing process. Read the chapter in this book, this chapter, and you start working. And you follow the same thing. After you finish your piece of writing, schedule a meeting, guys. Exchange your pieces together, and then sit again choose the best, send it to me with an attachment. Okay? When to submit this? Okay, I understand. Tomorrow will be a new week and another piece of writing. So I will expect this week's assignment and next week assignments to be submitted by next Sunday. So meaning beginning from today until next Sunday, I should expect 2 pieces of work, today's and tomorrow's. This is chapters and tomorrow's a chapter. The videos, any questions before we move on to the videos? Have I done a good job? Say yes, please, please. Don't break my heart.
Yes, Doctor.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, doctor.
Yes, Doctor.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Shahaya. Where are you?
We'll do well, don't worry.
Thank you. Okay, let's begin with this.
This video is part 1 of 4 on how to write an essay step by step. In this video,
Oh, I have to stop presenting and present. You didn't even remind me again. Stop sharing. Present now. Your entire screen. Tell me please if the quality of the sound and the audio, the video is fine.
this video is part 1 of 4 on how to write an essay step by step. In this video, I teach you how to write the introduction paragraph, beginning with the hook, then background, and finally, the thesis statement.
Can you hear and see?
Yes, Doctor.
Great.
Yes,
So
Doctor. Loud
first,
and clear.
what is an essay? In this video, I teach you how to write the introduction paragraph, beginning with the hook, then background, and finally, the thesis statement. So first, what is an essay? An essay is a group of paragraphs that explain an idea. So how many paragraphs are in an essay? 3 to 5 paragraphs. Before the essay, usually, you have a prompt. A prompt is a question or statement that your essay answers. Here's an example. What is the best exercise? Write an essay that explains your answer. So let's look at an example essay. Here's an essay written to the example prompt we just read. This essay is called The Best Exercise. As you see, it has 5 paragraphs. The first paragraph is the introduction paragraph. The next paragraphs 2, 3, and 4 are called body paragraphs. And paragraph 5 is called the conclusion paragraph. When we write an essay, we need to be sure to clearly show where each paragraph begins. There are 2 ways to do this. One is to use an empty line after each paragraph, like I've done here. See the empty lines? And 2 is to indent the first word of each paragraph. And here's what the essay looks like when we've indented each paragraph by putting several spaces in front of the first word of the paragraphs.
Use either
So
method.
there are the 2 ways to clearly show where each paragraph begins. Just be sure to use the format that your teacher requires.
These are conventions. Either is okay.
But what information goes in the paragraphs? That's what we're going to talk about next. The first part of the introduction paragraph is called the hook. Before we begin, remember this very important note. There are many ways to write an introduction, body, and conclusion paragraph. This structure that I'm going to show you is just one of those ways. The hook is an interesting sentence about the topic, and it's our first sentence in the essay. The topic is the thing or person you're writing about. We call the first sentence of an essay the hook because this sentence hooks or catches the reader's attention and makes them want to read more of your essay. There are many types of hooks, but I'm going to tell you about 5 hooks that I think are the easiest types to write, and I'm going to give you an example of each one. The first type is a surprising fact or statistic about your topic. Here's an example. According to the World Health Organization, 1 in 4 adults do not get enough exercise. Another type of hook is an interesting question. For example, does exercise only improve health if it's difficult? You can see how this type of question, if it comes first in the essay, might interest the reader in reading more to find the answer. Another type of hook is a wise quote. For example, reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body, according to Joseph Addison. Another type of hook is a contradiction. People think strenuous exercise is better for them than easy exercise, but almost no one does a strenuous routine twice. Do you see how each part of that sentence contradicts the other? This makes the reader think more deeply about the topic. Finally, my favorite type of hook is a pretty simple one, which is a sentence that tells why the topic is important. For example, people need exercise to stay healthy. You see that this type of hook is simpler than all the others above it, and not quite as exciting as the others. But some of the other types of hooks above, like the surprising fact or statistic, and the wise quote, include very specific information, like numbers and facts. When you use specific information like this in an essay, you need to tell your readers where you found the information in case they want to check it. This requires that you do a citation and a works cited page or a bibliography to go with your essay. Citations and bibliographies is an advanced topic that can get a little complicated, so I'll avoid them in this video. So I'm going to use the last type of hook in the example essay that we read. Let's look at a few more examples of hooks that tell why a topic is important. This time we'll look at topics besides exercise. Remember that when you write this type of hook, don't use the word important. Just tell why the topic is important. Using the word important will make your sentence sound a little too simple. So let's say you're writing an essay about vegetables. You could use this hook. Vegetables have vitamins that cannot be found in other foods. Do you see how we stated why vegetables are important, but we didn't oversimplify the sentence by using the word important? If you were writing about a topic like a driving license, this could be a good hook. A driving license gives a person independence. If you have a scientific topic like the human brain, you could begin your essay like this. The human brain controls everything we do and say. And finally, if you're writing an essay about a topic in literature like the character Romeo, you could begin your essay with this sentence. Romeo is one of Shakespeare's most famous characters. Do you see how all of these sentences tell why the topic is important, but they don't use the word important? That's a good solid way to start the essay about these topics. The next part of the introduction paragraph we'll talk about is background information. Okay, so you start your introduction paragraph with the first sentence called the hook. Then you follow with sentences that tell background information on your topic. Examples of background information include facts, numbers, group opinions, or history. These are just a few examples of background information, and the type of background information you use should prepare your readers for your message about your topic. Now I'm going to show you several types of background information that you can write in your essay after the hook. The first type is a surprising statistic or fact about your topic. Here's an example. A vigorous 30-minute walk raises your heart rate and burns over 100 calories. Remember, a surprising statistic or fact can also be used as your hook. It's okay if you use a fact or statistic as both your hook and background information, as long as those two facts are different. Another type of background information is a definition about a word that readers might not know. For example, vigorous exercise is physical activity that raises the heart rate and speeds up breathing. When you use a definition, just be sure that it's for a word that readers need to know to understand your topic, and also that the word is at least a little difficult. There's no reason to include a definition for easy words that everybody already knows. Another type of background information would be positive or negative opinions that people have about your topic. For example, many people view walking as too easy to improve health or help weight loss. You can also write about opposite opinions. Some people enjoy walking, but others prefer higher intensity sports like running, weightlifting, or swimming. One of the most interesting and often helpful types of background information for a topic is to give a little history about the topic. For example, historically, people walked as a form of transportation. By 1900, walking was an Olympic event. And finally, you can give trends or recent changes that pertain to your topic. Like this one, by the 1990s, walking was a popular U.S. sport with over 65 million regular walkers. I wouldn't use all of these sentences as background information. You only need to pick about 3 or 4 sentences that are very closely related to what you're going to say about your topic in your essay. Now let's talk about the thesis statement. After you've written the hook and background information on your topic, the next sentence you'll write is the thesis statement. The thesis statement is the most important sentence in your essay. It is also the last sentence in your introduction paragraph. The thesis statement contains your main idea about the topic plus 3 reasons. The main idea is your message about your topic, and sometimes instead of 3 reasons, you'll need 3 steps in a process, 3 types of something, 3 parts of something, 3 examples of something. And whether you need reasons, steps, types, parts, or examples depends on your topic and your main idea.
So I use the word subtopics or points of development to include any of these, potential things, whether they're steps, as in a process essay, or types, or parts, or examples, or reasons, or the subtopics, the 3 subtopics in a stated thesis. In an implied one, you do not have to mention them, but 3 has to be there, implied. But usually we have a stated theses.
I'm going to give you several examples in just a moment so that you clearly understand what a thesis statement is and how to write one about various topics that answer to various prompts. Your thesis statement answers the prompt in 1 sentence. This sentence includes 3 reasons. Let me give you an example. Remember, the essay prompt asks a question. For example, what is the best exercise? Write an essay that explains your answer. The thesis statement answers the question in the prompt. For example, the best exercise is walking because it is easy, convenient, and usually done outside. Now, the thesis statement answers the question in the prompt, but we still need an entire essay to explain our thesis statement. Also note that this thesis statement has the main idea, which is the best exercise is walking, and it has 3 reasons that tell us why the main idea is true.
Being
Why
easy,
is the best
being
exercise
convenient,
walking?
being
Because
done
it is
alone.
easy, convenient, and usually done outside. Let's look at a few examples of thesis statements about different topics. Prompt 1. What is one thing everyone should do? A thesis statement that answers this prompt is, everyone should eat lots of vegetables for vitamins, minerals, and fiber. Remember, all thesis statements need a main idea or main message, plus 3 reasons that tell why that main idea is true or that explain the main idea. In this thesis statement, the main idea is that everyone should eat lots of vegetables. The 3 reasons people should eat vegetables are for the vitamins, minerals, and fiber.
So remember that the controlling ideas, just like the controlling idea in the topic sentence, it makes or it asks questions. So everyone should eat lots of vegetables. Why? For example, why? So the answers will be for vitamins, minerals, and fiber. So the controlling idea or ideas usually ask questions.
Prompt 2. Explain how to get a driver's license. An example thesis statement that answers this prompt is, getting a driver's license requires a few steps, including to learn rules, practice driving, and pass exams. The main idea in this thesis statement is that getting a driver's license requires a few steps. Now, remember that getting a driver's license is a process. So, instead of 3 reasons, this thesis statement will have 3 steps in a process.
Process paragraph.
The 3 steps for getting a driver's license are to learn the rules, practice driving, and pass exams. Prompt 3. Describe the parts of the human brain. The human brain has 3 main parts, including the cerebrum, cerebellum, and brainstem. The main idea of this thesis statement is the human brain has 3 main parts. This thesis statement has 3 parts of something instead of 3 reasons. The parts are the cerebrum, cerebellum, and brainstem. And finally, analyze the character Romeo and explain what motivates him. A thesis statement that answers this prompt is, the character Romeo is driven by devotion to his family, friends, and Juliet. The main idea of this thesis statement is that the character Romeo is driven by devotion. We have 3 examples that explain who or what Romeo is devoted to. And those examples are devotion to family, friends, and Juliet. So now we've talked about all parts of an introduction paragraph of an essay, including the hook, background information, and thesis statement. Let's go ahead and look at all these parts together in the essay that we'll study in this video. So remember that you start with the prompt or the question from the teacher, which is, what is the best exercise? Write an essay that explains your answer. So to answer that prompt, we have begun our essay with this introduction paragraph and title. The title is The Best Exercise, and in our introduction paragraph, first we need the hook, which tells why the topic is important. Our hook is, people need exercise to stay healthy. After the hook, we need the background information on our topic.
General statements.
This can include
transition.
facts, numbers, group opinions, or history. And in this case, our background information is, adults should exercise 20 minutes daily, but most people do not. Activities like swimming, lifting weights, and playing sports are often inconvenient or too expensive. And finally, we have our thesis statement, which includes our main idea and 3 reasons. So our thesis statement reads, the best type of exercise is walking because it is easy, convenient, and usually done outside. And remember that the thesis statement contains the main idea, which is your message about the topic. In this case, our main idea is that the best type of exercise is walking. The thesis statement also gives 3 reasons for your main idea. Our 3 reasons are, reason 1, because it is easy. Reason 2, it is convenient. And reason 3, it is usually done outside. That's the end of our video on part 1 of how to write an essay step by step about the introduction paragraph. Next is part 2 on how to write a body paragraph. Thank you for watching. This video is part 1 of 4 on how to write an essay step by step. In this video, I teach you how to write.
Alright, this was a very interesting educational video. You can, if you're interested to watch it again, you can look for it on YouTube. I have actually one more video about hooks in particular, but I have no time to show it to you. All you need now is to read a bit more and to start practicing, guys. If you have no questions, then it's time to end the class. Any questions? The slides are already on my Guru. You can download the slides and go through my presentation again. All the best. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, doctor.
Please
Bye.
prepare.
Thank you.
Please prepare unit.
Thank you.
Please prepare the unit we're going to discuss tomorrow. Process essays. Part 2.
All right.
Part 2. Process essays. Tomorrow. See you.
See you,
Thank you,
doctor.
doctor.
Goodbye.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, doctor. Goodbye.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.